All right, let's talk about something most of us are honestly pretty bad at, actually ending the workday. I'm not just talking about slamming your laptop shut. I'm talking about really, truly reclaiming your personal time and your sanity. So, let's dive in.
You know this feeling, right? You close your laptop at 6 p.m., but bam, it's 9 p.m. and your brain is still stuck in that Zoom meeting. You're replaying conversations, you're stressing about that deadline, you're basically still at work. This is what we call invisible overwork, and we are going to tackle it head-on.
Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to start by really defining this invisible overwork problem. Then, we'll get practical and build a shutdown ritual. We'll cover how to log off without feeling guilty, which is a big one. I'll show you this awesome 3-2-1 hero habit. And finally, we'll see how all of this helps you get your free time back for good.
All right, let's get into our first section, the invisible overwork problem. You know they say you've got to know your enemy to beat your enemy. So let's put a name to that nagging feeling, that sense of being constantly mentally chained to your job.
So, the culprit actually has a name. It's called an open loop. Think of it like this. Your brain is a problem-solving machine, right? It's designed to finish things. So when you leave a task half done or a worry just floating around in your head, your brain can't let it go. It just keeps spinning and spinning on it, making it impossible to truly unplug.
And wow, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This mental bleed from your workday into your personal life, that's what leaves you feeling completely exhausted. It's that feeling of being physically there with your family, but your mind is just a million miles away, still stuck back at the office. You're basically a ghost at your own dinner table.
But okay, here's the really good news. Fixing this isn't just about feeling a little less stressed. We're talking about a real, tangible payoff. By putting a simple ritual in place, you can get back over 10 hours of pure mental freedom every single week. I mean, that's like getting a whole extra day back, just for your brain. Seriously, think about what you could do with all that time.
So, that brings us to section 2, building your shutdown ritual. Okay, enough about the problem, let's build the solution. We're talking simple, repeatable habits that create a real, hard boundary between your work life and your life.
Let's call this your digital sunset. It's 3 simple steps. First, you do what's called an open loop dump. Get all those annoying, unfinished tasks out of your head and onto paper. Or a list for tomorrow. Just get them out. Second, and this is surprisingly powerful, have a tab closing ceremony. I mean it. Physically close every single browser tab. It's like a final clear signal to your brain that work is over. And last, set up a morning batch for notifications. Just push anything that's not urgent to tomorrow. You're basically telling your brain, nope, we are not dealing with this right now.
You know, for so many of us, especially if you work from home, we've lost this really critical tool for switching off, the commute. That drive home, that train ride, it was a built-in mental buffer, a space that separated your work self from your home self. And now, without it, that line is just so blurry. And honestly, that's a super fast track to burnout.
So, what do? We have to recreate that commute, but psychologically. For example, give yourself a mandatory 15-minute buffer. That's a gap between your last email and your first home chore, no exceptions. You could try environment anchoring. Change your lighting or light a specific candle to signal the day is done. Or create an audio bridge, a specific playlist or podcast that you only listen to after work. It becomes a cue for your brain. Now, creating these boundaries is great, but what about the guilt? Sticking to them without feeling like you're letting your team down, well, that's a whole other challenge.
And that brings us perfectly to section 3, logging off without guilt. And this is a huge one, isn't it? So many of us worry that if we actually switch off, people will think we're slacking off. It's time to completely dismantle that fear.
So here is the secret, and it's a little counterintuitive. The goal isn't to just disappear at 5 p.m. The goal is to be proactively visible right before you disappear. You want to shift from being always on and reactive to being proactive with your communication. When you clearly show what you got done and set expectations for tomorrow, you build trust. And that trust, that's your permission slip to disconnect guilt-free.
And here's the exact toolkit to make that happen. Try sending a proactive status burst at, say, 4:45 p.m. It just shows what you've accomplished and what's on deck for tomorrow. No one has to guess. Use calendar guarding to block off deep work time. It makes your focus visible and protects it. And hey, set up a micro autoresponder for the evenings. It's not about being unavailable, it's about professionally managing expectations. See, these aren't signs you're slacking. They're signs of a pro who is totally in control of their time.
Okay, moving on to my favorite part, Section 4, the 3-2-1 hero habit. Seriously, if you only remember one thing from our chat today, please make it this. This is probably the most powerful and memorable framework for truly taking back your evenings.
And it's so simple, which is why it works. It's a countdown. 3 hours before bed, no more heavy meals, no more stressful work conversations. 2 hours before bed, no more work talk at all, and absolutely no checking work apps on your phone. Then, 1 hour before bed, this is the analog hour. No screens, period. This is how you systematically wind down your body and your mind so you can actually get restorative sleep.
All right, we're at our final section, and this is where it all comes together, reclaiming your free time. This is about the real payoff, the big prize. Because a good shutdown ritual doesn't just save your evenings, it saves your entire weekend.
I want you to think of your Friday shutdown ritual as a weekend firewall. When you properly close out the week, review what you accomplished, clear off your desk, you build a wall that stops work anxiety from creeping into Saturday and Sunday. This is what guarantees you a full 48 hours of mental rest so you can actually start Monday feeling energized, not drained from a weekend spent worrying.
And really, that's the whole point. This is the big shift we're aiming for. Think about it. So much of what we call free time is just spent, numbing out, right? We're just endlessly scrolling on our phones because we're too exhausted to do anything else. A real shutdown ritual gives you the mental energy to move from just numbing out to truly recovering, to actually rest.
So I'll leave you with this one question. You have the tools now, you have the frameworks. You don't have to do everything at once. Just pick one small thing to start. Maybe it's the tab closing ceremony. Maybe it's that 15-minute buffer. Or maybe it's the 3-2-1 rule. So what's it going to be? What's your ritual for tonight?